What a perfect idea. And in the coconut wrap, I was asking her what she ate for lunch. She says she puts the avocado, some hummus, onion, cucumber, tomato, whatever she's got, and sprouts, and puts it in a coconut wrap. Those coconut wraps are so delicious. They really don't taste like coconut to the point where you think they would. But we have coconut wraps at the Power Hour that you can use instead of tortillas. They are amazing. Anyway, so broccoli and watercress may target cancer stem cells. Now, here's a note on potatoes. What you should never, ever, ever eat, listeners. And I'm telling you this, not because I gain anything from it, but I want you to know that if you are eating conventionally grown potatoes, you're poisoning yourself. Are you ready for this? Root vegetables, those ones that grow underground, absorb pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides. When you put it on conventionally grown potatoes, pesticides have been identified as acutely toxic. When we come back, let me tell you how many different pesticides are found in potatoes. Don't ever eat traditionally grown potatoes. Please. We'll be right back after this 1 minute, 10-second break. Stay tuned.
What have I learned so far? I've learned that there is no one path right for everyone. I've learned that without my high school diploma, I can only do so much. My options were limited. I found a free personalized learning program with Learn for Life that has a flexible schedule so I could keep my job while earning my high school diploma. I found new career training opportunities that would jumpstart my future. What have I learned so far? I've learned that I can change my life.
Are you 14 to 19 years old and looking for a free high school diploma program with flexible meeting times? This program allows you to keep your job or important family responsibilities while earning your high school diploma. If you've fallen behind on credits or dropped out of school completely, get back on track with free tutoring, a caring faculty, and one-on-one attention. For more information on how to reach your graduation goal, visit learnforlife.org. That's LEARN4LIFE.org. Or enroll today by calling 877-360-LEARN. That's 877-360-LEARN.
You're on board KCAA's Inland Talk Express. KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 AM, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Special report, Amtrak crash. I'm Dirk Van. The death toll from last night's train derailment in Philadelphia stands at 6, with 150 others hospitalized. Survivors say until the second of impact, everything was normal, and then chaos.
You had to actually climb out the top of the window to get out. There was people next to me. A woman was stuck underneath some seats, helping another woman out.
The train en route from Washington, D.C. to New York. Correspondent Renee Marsh says the cause still a mystery.
As far as how fast this train was going, that remains to be seen. Of course, investigators will have that information when they retrieve those event recorders.
Federal investigators combing through the wreckage. Fire Commissioner Derek Sawyer says the scene is one of devastation.
We used hydraulic tools to get to the people that could not self-evacuate. There were several people who were entrapped.
The deadly crash forcing Amtrak to cancel service between New York and Philadelphia. I'm Dirk Van.
Advance Auto Parts knows what makes a car guy a car guy. It's the commitment to maintain an engine through the 300,000-mile mark. It's burning the midnight oil to finish a job most guys would rather hand off. It's loyalty, and it's why there's speed perks from Advance Auto Parts. Spend $100 and get $20 off your next qualified purchase. No cards, no points, no nonsense. Advance Auto Parts, for guys who love getting under the hood.
See store to sign up or visit speedperks.com for details.
This is Shaquille O'Neal
and the Shaquettes,
reminding you that anytime is a good time.
Good time
for the cooling, drying, fresh scent of Gold Bond powder spray, like after the gym,
or a crowded elevator ride,
or golf,
or working with farm animals,
or a hard day's work,
like sportscasting.
You said it, ladies. Stay cool with Gold Bond powder spray.
Stay cool with Gold Bond.
And good morning, Mark Westwood with you on the radio, 6:02 on Wednesday morning. Taking a look at Inland Empire weather. Well, it's partly cloudy and cooler today. Going to remain that way through the week all the way through Friday. Wednesday, today near 73, dropping into the 60s through Saturday. Lows tonight around 53, patchy morning drizzle, a chance of showers Thursday afternoon, ending Saturday morning. Currently, it is 58 degrees at KCAA. As we take a look at Inland Empire traffic, well, Ontario, we got some slow traffic to 60 westbound between Haven Avenue and the 57 Orange Freeway. The 10 West is slow from Archibald to Ramona. 210 West is a little slow and go from Haven Avenue to Foothill. Out in Corona, 91 westbound between McKinley Street and Green River Road. The usual slowing there. The 71 is south, busy between Euclid Avenue and the 91. And out in Moreno Valley, I-215 northbound between Alessandra Boulevard and Box Springs. The south is slow from Mount Vernon to Columbia Avenue. The 60 West is busy between Day Street and the 215. And that's a look at weather and traffic from the only station that leaves no listener behind. This weather and traffic brought to you by Big O Tires. Big O Tires. Now at Big O Tires, purchase a set of 4 select Big O brand tires. Get $100 off instantly through May 25th. For your nearest participating location, go to bigotires.com.
You're listening to KCAA, your good neighbor along the way.
14 feelings are hurt in a local teasing incident. It's the Onion Radio News. This is Doyle Redland reporting. An estimated 14 feelings were hurt and 3 pride seriously wounded today when a group of preteen girls were teased by a larger, more popular group of girls. Spectators near the scene reported words like skank and loser were fired at the girls, leaving the victims devastated.
Some people say they heard girls chanting, "You ugly, you ugly," but we cannot confirm those rumors at this time.
Emergency Emotional Services technician Liz Brownstein. The victims were rushed to the crying ward at a local hospital where doctors say they remain in extremely criticized condition. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
Are you tired of dealing with your loved one's addiction to drugs and or alcohol? Are you ready for a solid recovery program that is licensed by the state of California and CARF accredited, that is delivered by an experienced, professional, and caring staff that have a personal experience in recovery? Then call Anaheim Lighthouse at 877-959-5909. That's 1-877-959-5909 today to shine your life light again.
From the KCAA Community Calendar, I'm Mark Westwood. Everyone's talking about the Third Thursdays in San Bernardino. Rediscover the city of San Bernardino Third Thursday Food Truck Fest. Switch up your lunchtime routine. Try the gourmet food trucks every third Thursday from 11:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. at the Court Street parking lot between E and D Streets in downtown San Bernardino. Enjoy delicious, tasty food from the food trucks such as the Slam and Sliders food truck, Farmer's Belly, the Bacon Mania truck, Piaggio on Wheels, or the Greasy Wiener. All kinds of mouth-watering delights, hot off the truck, and plenty to eat. Put an end to dull, boring fast food and truck on over to City Hall in San Bernardino for the Third Thursday Food Truck Fest in downtown San Bernardino. For more info, check out Rediscover San Bernardino's Facebook page at facebook.com/SB Third Thursdays. That's SBTHIRD Thursdays. That's a look at the KCAA Community Calendar. I'm Mark Westwood.
A penny for your thoughts? Sorry, ideas are priceless. AM 1050 KCAA.
I threw a wish in the well. Don't ask me, I'll never tell. I looked at you as it fell, and now you're in my way.
Morning and welcome. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
We are on the brink here on KCAA AM 1050, the morning show, and it is early.
It is early, but it's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday.
Hump day.
This week is flying by.
Yes, it is.
Seriously flying by.
That's why I'm wearing my Superman shirt today.
Because the week is flying by? Oh, there you go. There you go. So, the song reminds me of, I know she's another Canadian, but the song reminds me of Justin Bieber.
Okay. Care to expand on that?
Well, no, she's another pop star from Canada, I guess.
So I have to tell you, Bieber is over. I teach middle school, and he's done. You mention his name in a middle school classroom, and instead of getting the oohs and ahs and the, oh, yeah, play Bieber, instead you get Bieber.
Nobody wants to admit that they ever listened to him.
I know. It's hilarious, though, to see the kids in my classroom and how they flipped on Bieber. They used to love him. And
yeah,
now
but he's a train wreck.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. The guy's a jerk.
Oh, he'll go away for a couple of years, and then he'll reinvent himself and come out as whatever flavor of song pop music is out at that time.
Seriously, I don't know. He's got a lot of work to do to rehab his image.
Well, that's it. He's going to go to rehab first, and he'll come back a new person.
Well, typical of pop music, it is too. I don't know where that noise is coming from. Typical of pop music, that's too big of an investment for that to go under the water. So they'll bring him back. He's hooked up.
Yep, I agree. Well, we have a great show planned for you today. Up first, we'll be talking to Casey Carlson. She is the owner of Cal Skate in Grand Terrace. And if you've spent any time in Riverside or San Bernardino, Grand Terrace, Colton, any of the Rialto surrounding communities, you know about Cal Skate.
I was there last week for a skating party with my middle school students.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it was.
And she'll be talking about their 35th anniversary and Grand Terrace days. And in the second half of the show, we've got an absolutely phenomenal interview planned. We'll be talking to Chris Vassell. He will be. He's written a book, along with General Stanley McChrystal, called "Team of Teams: New Rules of Engagement for a Complex World," and it's a phenomenal read. So we'll be talking to him about that. Without any further delay, we've got Casey on the line. Why don't you welcome her, Tobin?
Good morning, Casey. Are you with us?
Yes, I am.
How are you this morning?
I'm doing great. How about you guys?
Awesome. I have to tell you how much I love Cal Skate. I had so much fun there last week skating with my students.
Oh, that's so awesome. I saw all the pictures and videos that you were posting on Facebook.
Yeah, thank you. I have to tell you, though, I'm feeling a little old when you say that it's been open for 35 years. I think I was there for the grand opening.
I was too. I know, it's crazy, right?
Yeah, we can't be that old.
I know.
35 years, that's a long time.
It's crazy.
So what are you guys doing for your 35th? I think you got a whole bunch of stuff going on.
Yeah. So what we have going on right now, actually the whole month, is May Madness. Everybody that comes in gets to spin our prize wheel, and everyone's an instant winner. And we have all kinds of goodies to give away. Instant free admission right then and there. Free rental, a 2-for-1, free icy, bunch of food, different things. So it's kind of cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, the kids like it. They get all excited to spin the wheel and get a prize. So that's fun. And then for the actual celebration, the big event, that is on Wednesday, May 27th, and it's in the evening from 6 to 8 p.m. And it's open to the public, and we're having free skating.
Ah, cool.
Oh, that's great.
Cool. Yeah.
So those people who haven't gone for a long time, that's like the perfect time to come check it out. And
okay, so once upon a time, I was a really good skater, but that was a lot of years ago. So, what if is there a time when old fogies can come and they, won't feel ridiculous, and, what about people like me?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I will tell you, Aaron, it's kind of like riding a bike. Even though, if you were a good skater at some point and you haven't skated in a while, once you put the skates back on and you go out and you do a couple of laps, it'll all just start coming back to you, and you're going to do fine. I would suggest we have a Tuesday and a Thursday evening during the week, which is more like family-oriented skating time. The Thursday evening is actually our Christian music night, where we play only Christian music on that night. So
cool.
It's really great for youth groups and churches to come, and for the whole family to come. It's a great night of fellowship on that night. But we also have something new, and it's called a Skate Mate. And it's kind of like a little walker on wheels that you can kind of hold on to, and it steadies you and stops you from falling for the most part. So, and there are adults that use it. So,
okay, I don't think I'm quite there yet, but who knows? Maybe I'll get there and realize that I need it.
So I didn't know it was called a Skate Mate, but I have to tell you, so many of my students used that when we went, and part of it was because, and this really kind of shocked me, was how many of these kids had never been skating before, and so they were all hanging onto the wall until they got their hands on that Skate Mate, and then they were able to get out on the floor, and once they built up that little bit of confidence with that went away, and then they were skating. So it was really kind of cool to see them get off the wall, get out on the floor, and they really, I mean, this was our second skate party this year, and the kids really took off. I mean, they were doing so much better once they had that little bridge to help them get over the hump.
Yes, exactly. But I got to tell you, the SkateMate has actually been a great thing because not only is it more enjoyable for the kids because they're not falling and getting back up constantly, but it's great for the parents because they're not having to hold up their child the whole time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, that's true.
Yeah. So
I remember that.
For themselves and skate along without, like, trying to hold up their kids the whole time.
Wow.
It's really great.
So besides talking about Cal Skate, I know you also wanted to mention Grand Terrace Days, and you're obviously a big business up there in Grand Terrace, and the community has their Community Day coming up. So why don't we talk a little bit about that?
That is coming up on Saturday, 6th. It's at Richard Rollins Park, and that is the park next to the middle school, next to Terrace Hills Middle School. It's from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Prior to that, the Grand Terrace Fire Department will be having their pancake breakfast starting at 7 a.m. So you can start there, and then you can walk up to the park and hang out for a little while. We'll have lots of vendors, so there'll be lots of businesses, food vendors. We have entertainment going on all day long. We have a big stage, so we will have performances from our local dance conventions. We have Taekwondo demonstrations, Zumba, Jazzercise. We have the Grand Terrace High School Band. So there's just a lot of different entertainment going on throughout the day. Just a great day for everyone in the community to come out and enjoy each other, enjoy the day, visit the local businesses, and just hang out and get to know each other better.
You know, one thing that's always struck me, and I grew up in Grand Terrace when I was a kid, is how vibrant the community is. And you see that when you go out to these kind of community day events, because so many people are there. And for such a small community in Grand Terrace, you guys really put on one heck of an event.
Yeah, we try to. It's really a good effort. And, this event is actually put on by the Foundation of Grand Terrace. It is not put on by the city.
Okay.
Everyone that puts on this event is a volunteer. So everything from the planning to putting it up and taking it down to getting the sponsorships and just setting everything up is just 100% volunteer. And these are all people that are part of the Foundation of Grand Terrace. This year, this is also sponsored by Healthy GP. Healthy GP is a part of the Foundation of Grand Terrace. What that is
Casey, you're starting to break up just a little bit. I don't know if you're moving around, but it's starting to break up. Would you repeat that last bit again?
Mentioning Healthy Grand Terrace, and that's one of the sponsors because our theme this year is called Let's Get Moving.
Okay.
So we're focusing on everybody getting out and getting some physical activity and having some fun at the same time. Healthy Grand Terrace is actually part of the foundation, and it is there to promote health and fitness within the city of Grand Terrace. We have been recognized by the County of San Bernardino as a healthy city. And that organization just continues to, push that out to our community daily by doing different things. Like yesterday, we had a mobile fresh truck with fresh produce come out to Grand Terrace.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it was great. There was like 40 or 50 people that came out, and it was very well received. And so it's going to be coming to Grand Terrace every other Tuesday from 9:30 to 10:30 in the morning. And that's one of the things that Healthy Grand Terrace put together.
Well, that's wonderful. So some great events coming up. So June 6th is the Grand Terrace Days. And then May 27th is your Wednesday, May 26th from 6 to 8 p.m. is your big Cal Skate 35th anniversry celebration.
Now, I do have one more skating question, and this is more about recovery because I'm still sore. What do you do? This is like a week later, and I took one big spill. I did like the little Scooby-Doo thing with my legs and then fell right on my butt.
Well,
how long is this going to work? Is this going to hurt?
Well, I happen to know that you are a runner, Tobin.
Yes.
So, I do know that you know about, doing a little recovery walk or recovery run.
Yeah,
So it's kind of the same thing. So I would have to recommend that you come back to Cal State.
There you go.
You're probably right. You know, it's funny. You use so many different muscles. You know, you mentioned I'm a runner. You'd think that it would have been like easy. My legs would have been great, but seriously, you use different muscles skating, and
yes,
I felt it the next day. I'm like, wow, okay, this is a workout.
And he bruised his bum.
Oh well, that's common. That's definitely common. That's the.
Well, I have to say, too, your staff was wonderful for our students. We did have one kid who took a spill, and they were great. They got right to him and took good care of him, and everyone had a great time. And just smiles all around, very polite, just a wonderful experience for the kids. And anyone who's got who's got kids, and you just want to have a good time, skating is one of the great things to do. You get your kids physically active, and again, you've got lots of options. You got your Christian night, you've got all kinds of special events you do. I just love Cal Skate. I can't believe it's been 35 years.
I know.
And but congratulations to you guys, and thank you for coming on this morning. This was this was wonderful.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to get our message there and let everybody know about all the fun that are going to be going on in Grand Terrace. And I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much.
Awesome. And please come back when you have more events so that we know what's going on, because like Tobin said, skating is great family fun.
I would love to.
Thank you so much. Well, we've been talking to Casey Carlson from Cal Skate in Grand Terrace. 35 years they've been in business, and you want to make sure you go out there on the 27th of May. And June 6th, don't forget about Grand Terrace Days. It is time for a break. I'm Erin Brinker.
I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the brink, the morning show on KCAA AM 1050, and we'll be right back.
58 degrees.
Don't miss the fun on Getaway Fridays starting at 2 p.m. with The Poor Man. Next, it's Let's Go Shopping with Bev, Jason Stapleton, The Happy Hour with Ben and Alexander, and Langdon Nation. KCAA 1050 AM, where Fridays are great days.
Neither rain, sleet, nor snow, nor even the likelihood that he'd be killed could stop this letter carrier from making his appointed rounds. Doug Hughes is one gutsy mailman. In April, this rural letter carrier from Florida embarrassed Washington's haughty security hierarchy and threw members of Congress into chaotic panic by boldly flying his tiny, homemade gyrocopter right through the heart of our nation's most restricted airspace, landing it on the front lawn of the U.S. Capitol. Far from a terrorist or a kook, Hughes was just a mailman on a mission. Like most of us, he's disgusted that big money can openly buy lawmakers and laws. But he did more than write a letter to his Congress critter. He wrote letters to all 535 of them, loaded the missives in his mailbag, and literally went the extra mile to make a very special delivery in his gyrocopter. This was no flight of fancy. Doug planned his mail delivery for months, and he was fully aware that he might crash, be killed by a scramble of military jets, or be gunned down by guards when he landed. Nor was it a sneak attack. He repeatedly posted his intentions in blogs, and the Secret Service had investigated and interviewed him about his plans more than a year earlier. His landing jolted the Capitol into lockdown. Guards rushed out to arrest Doug. A bomb squad arrived, and lawmakers were scared silly. They ran around screeching that they were threatened by terrorists. Of course, the real threat to America is not some guy flying a gyrocopter, but the utter corruption of Congress by plutocratic elites whom this mailman targeted with nothing more nor less dangerous than a bag full of truth-telling letters. This is Jim Hightower saying, actually, Hughes was not alone on this heroic mission. The great majority of us Americans are totally on board with his bold effort to finally shape up Congress.
Are your student loans making life miserable? Optimum Student Solutions can now help consolidate your federal student loans. That's right, we can help lower your monthly payment on your federal student loans. In some cases, you can lower your monthly payments in half. It doesn't matter how much you owe, even if you are in default on your federal student loans. Just call us right now and find out if you qualify for these substantial savings. We'll help you remove your default status, lower your monthly payments, and stop wage garnishments. Let our experts eliminate the confusion and find the best payment solution for you. All you have to do is make the call. If you are a teacher, nurse, police officer, firefighter, or work for a nonprofit, new federal programs are available that may have a portion of your student loan forgiven. Stop worrying and start saving. Call now, 800-375-1159. That's 800-375-1159. Get free information. Call now, 800-375-1159. That's 800-375-1159.
Hi, everybody. Ray Lucia here. We just saw the biggest jump in mortgage rates in more than 25 years. So now it's more important than ever to lock in your loan with a professional who has a thorough understanding of this wild mortgage market. That pro, Steve Alador, the loan financial planner from Rancho Financial. Steve is one of the top 1% of mortgage originators in the entire country. And for years, Steve has worked with me, my family members and friends, and in most cases will close your loan in 30 days or less. Time is critical if you're ready to buy or refi. No one knows where rates will go next. Learn the advantages of working with a direct lender who can fast-track your loan. Steve Alador can calculate which program is best for you and educate you about all of your options. Call the loan financial planner, Steve Alador, at 888-563-1070. That's 888-563-1070. Or watch Steve's free home loan webinar at loanfinancialplanner.com. That's loanfinancialplanner.com.
KCAA, where every day is a great day. KCAA, Loma Linda.
Welcome back and good morning once again. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the brink here on KCAA AM 1050. What song was that, Mark?
This is Colby Calais.
Oh, I like this song. Okay. Yeah. Took me a second. It's kind of chill.
Well, sometimes we have to have tension and release,
Tension? We had tension?
No, this is release. This is chill music.
It is.
But it makes you feel good.
It does.
Hump day today.
Yes, and I don't know that we said good morning to you, Mark. We jumped right into the interview. How are you? That's Mark Westwood on the booth today.
Hey, good morning to you. Yeah, and I was busy today, too. Of course, you can see we have a gentleman by the name of Tom Morales. Let me introduce him to you.
Hi, Tom Morales.
And Tom is observing today, and we might have Tom around later on.
Awesome. So there's a story that's making headlines. It's a political story, but it's not the politics of the story per se that is problematic.
It's the racism.
The prize, and this is an article from thinkprogress.org, the prize for the most racist interview of a 2016 candidate goes to Bloomberg's Mark Halperin. Have you heard his interview with Ted Cruz?
I have.
Oh, it's bad. It's so bad. Toby, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, it's interesting because we've reached a level in history where we've become very sort of sensitive to people's racial backgrounds and ethnicity, and there's just certain things you say and don't say, and this guy just completely forgot all the rules about how you talk to people.
He really did. So he was talking to Ted Cruz, of course, is a Cuban American, and very conservative, no fan of the folks on the left.
Yeah. And so, let me just read a little to you and then we'll talk about it. It says, late last month, Bloomberg's Mark Halperin conducted a cringe-worthy interview with Senator Ted Cruz of Texas, Republican of Texas. The interview meandered from questions about how Cruz plans to appeal to Latino voters to what appeared to be a series of requests that Cruz, who is Cuban-American, prove that he is really, truly, authentically Cuban. By the end of the interview, when Halperin asked Cruz to say a few words in Espanol, one can't help but think that Cruz had unwittingly wandered into a minstrel show with Halperin demanding that Cruz perform for an audience. Though Halperin begins the interview by raising a legitimate topic, a speech that Cruz had given to the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, his conversation with Cruz quickly goes off the rails. Your last name is Cruz, he says, and you're from Texas. Just based on that, should you appeal to Hispanic voters? Halperin's suggestion that Hispanic voters may base their vote solely on the ethnicity of a particular candidate is actually a relative high point of the interview. The next question begins with Halperin telling Cruz that people are really interested in you and your identity, before Halperin asks whether Cruz listed himself as Hispanic when he applied to college and law school. Over the course of the next 5 minutes, Halperin demands that Cruz identify his favorite Cuban food, his favorite Cuban singer, and of course he concluded the interview with a request that Cruz prove his Spanish language skills by saying, I wanted to give you an opportunity to welcome your colleague, Senator Sanders, to the race, and I'd like you to do it, if you would, in Espanol.
The man's from Texas, not Cuba. He's first generation American.
Yeah, but I mean, just this whole the way he went at him for his ethnicity and his identity, this sort of identity politics, and suggesting that the only way he would appeal was just because of the color of his skin or the last name. It was kind of ridiculous.
It's a train wreck.
And
it really was.
You almost go. It takes your breath away, but. When you make the topic, when you make that topic yourself, as Cruz has, you kind of become vulnerable to that.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do.
No, you don't.
You shouldn't do it, and they shouldn't do it, and race shouldn't be an issue. But of course, people are making it an issue.
Here's the interesting
and where
thing,
the president was born, and there are some people still that say that he's not born in the United States.
That has nothing to do with Ted Cruz.
Well, if Ted Cruz himself has said that and has been a birther himself on occasion, said that out and open in the public.
That's a stretch, Mark.
Yeah, well, it is, but it is and it isn't.
Here's the thing. Like his politics, dislike his politics, still treat him with human decency, right?
Well,
and the same thing went, same thing went with Barack Obama, and the right had problems with that, and so did the left. If you might remember, Bill Clinton made numerous culturally insensitive remarks about Barack Obama when Hillary and Barack were in the primary together back in 2008. So this is not unique
really?
to
I
one
hadn't
side.
heard that. I don't even want to have it repeated, but I'll have to research that. President Bill Clinton, made disparaging remarks racially about.
No, he made insensitive remarks. I wouldn't say disparaging.
No, he made comments about Jesse Jackson and Barack Obama, and tried to make some comments along the same lines, which is essentially that these folks are only voting for you because you're black. And
well, we can agree it shouldn't be said one way or the other. And I think we can agree that there's bad times and that happens, but unfortunately,
But Halperin, this guy isn't done yet, because after the horrible interview, then he gives the horrible non-apology apology, right? I mean, so this is they can't quite seem to get it right.
Yes. And this is why we mentioned that this is coming from thinkprogress.org. This is not a right-wing news site. And I have to say, the thing about it is, if you wanted to ask him about Cuba, we've just, Cuba is opening up. He could have asked him very significant policy questions about Cuba that are absolutely relevant and absolutely should be on the table. But he didn't. He asked him, what's your favorite Cuban food? I mean,
mine is fried bananas, by the way. I love fried
bananas.
Do you? Oh, I love it.
I just love the train wreck. I seriously, I mean, I love when you see these people who put themselves and up on these pedestals, and they think that they're so good, and they want to. You see them constantly sort of looking down at everyone else, and then they have these moments.
So, Mark Halperin, he works. I didn't catch that part.
He works for Bloomberg.
From Bloomberg. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, and it's pretty universally. Everybody's pretty universally saying this was the most racist interview in a very long time.
Sometimes reporters, when they have an agenda, they kind of stretch things out.
But his apology, though, is really kind of funny too, because here's his apology. We wanted to talk with Senator Cruz about his outreach to Latino voters the day after he spoke at the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. My intent was to give the senator a chance to speak further about his heritage and personal connections to the community through some casual questions. I rushed through the questions, and that was the mistake. It made to a poor tone and timing. I also understand why some felt the questions were inappropriate. As for asking Senator Cruz to welcome Senator Sanders to the race in Spanish, that was meant to be the type of lighthearted banter that he has done with us before on the show. In no way was I asking Senator Cruz to prove that he was an authentic Latino. I apologize to those that are most offended, and to Senator Cruz. I promise that I will work to make the tone and questions better next time.
Tone my eye. It was just flat racist.
Right? I mean, this is the non-apology apology. It wasn't really that. I just rushed. My tone was off,
So it was there was a better way of asking what his favorite Cuban singer was?
Yeah. Like, that's a legitimate thing we need to know for, deciding whether this guy's qualified to be president of the United States. And, and I've loved some of the memes that are starting to develop online about, what if someone had done this to Ted Kennedy back when he ran back in, 1980s, asking about his favorite Irish whiskey or his favorite,
Well, and sometimes people view certain candidates as more vulnerable to certain things than others. And Ted Cruz, do you feel that you're going to be supporting Ted Cruz?
No. Again, this is not about whether he's a good candidate or not, or he's, the interview wasn't even about that. If they had talked about his views on specific policy issues, that would have been a legitimate interview,
or
and we could have gained from that,
or something like that.
And then we could have been here laughing about some of his policy positions that we don't like or whatever. But instead, the interview ends up being about the interviewer instead of the interviewee.
Exactly.
Right.
And it's because of his racism and his obvious disdain for this man. It's disgusting. And then his apology is not an apology.
Yeah.
It's not an apology.
Sometimes it's better just to be quiet.
I know.
Just don't do anymore. Don't say anymore.
What did Mark Twain say? It's better a man think you're an idiot than you open your mouth and remove all doubt. Or something like that. Yes. So it is time for a break. It's 6:32. I'm Aaron Brinker.
I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we have Mark Westwood in the booth. We're the On the Brink Morning Show on KCAA AM 1050. When we get back, we'll be speaking with Chris Fussell about his book, Team of Teams, New Rules of Engagement for a Complex World. It's co-written by General Stanley McChrystal and a few others. It'll be a good interview. We'll be right back.
58 degrees.
KCAA, where every day is a great day. KCAA, Loma Linda.
Attention homeowners, you've seen your electricity bill go higher and higher, and experts predict that average prices will continue increasing. Aren't you tired of throwing away money every month? You could save thousands of dollars a year while increasing your home's value by switching to solar energy with Best Energy Advisor, the leader in affordable solar energy since 1987. Everyone's heard about solar energy. It works day or night. It doesn't matter if it's sunny or cloudy out. And now it's more affordable than ever. One free call to our experts, and you'll find out how to get a solar system installed in your home. Call 800-406-4962 and ask about the zero down 1 year no payment option. Best Energy Advisor makes it easy for homeowners to go solar and handles all the paperwork to take advantage of the government's tax credits, grants, and rebates, saving you even more money. But these won't last forever, so call now. 800-406-4962. If your electricity bill is over $100 per month, go solar and save money. Call 800-406-4962. 800-406-4962.
How would you like to have a large portion of your credit card debt completely forgiven, both the principal and interest? National Credit Card Relief wants to give you free information that shows you how. Thousands of people have used this program to have their credit card debt forgiven. So call now for free information and consultation. We'll give you the secret to this money-saving program absolutely free. Get eye-opening information that could save you thousands of dollars a year or a month, depending on how much you owe. In fact, the more you owe, the more you can save. All you need is $10,000 or more in credit debt, medical bills, or department store debt to qualify. Call for free debt forgiveness information now at 800-546-2909. That's 800-546-2909 to discover the secret to having your credit card debt forgiven. Call 800-546-2909. 800-546-2909. Don't wait. Call now. 800-546-2909.
We are producers. We are crafters of quality hay and forage. There's an art to harvesting the best hay and forage, and it starts with the right equipment. From dependable disc mowers and mower conditioners to efficient rakes and tedders, round balers and bale wrappers, Kubota has engineered a full line of field-proven hay tools you can trust to perform season after season. Visit your local Kubota dealer today during the More Power to You sales event for low-rate, long-term financing. For all your hay tool needs, we are Kubota.
For more local radio every day, tune into KCAA Loma Linda.
Welcome back. I'm Aaron Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the brink on KCAA AM 1050. I have to say, I took us to break just a little bit too early. Our caller will be calling in. Our Chris Fussell will be calling in at 6:40. So he'll be calling in a few minutes. So there's some other interesting stories going on right now. One of them is the drought. And there's an article in the Press Enterprise this week where they asked the question, why are we still building new houses if we don't have enough water for the people we have now?
That's a good question.
It is a good question, isn't it?
It is. We got to put people in houses because they need houses. We got our families blooming all the time.
We're talking about people moving into the state, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is what they're banking on, is that California is constantly growing. I mean, I think we added, another couple 100,000 in the last few years, right?
Right, and it just keeps, burgeoning as new generations start appearing and popping up as, I guess, the most polite way you can do it. But if we didn't build new houses, the property values would just go through the roof, and nobody could afford to live in here.
That's true. Well, despite changes, people have watched.
Hold on. We're still upside down on our house from when the recession went bad. Maybe that's a good idea. Maybe we should stop. Maybe we should stop all these yahoos from moving into the state for a while. Let the pressure build up a little bit. Get the water issues under control, and I can sell my house when the value's high again. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, because it's all about you.
No, Mark's got a great idea here. This is great economic theory, right?
Well,
here.
yeah, if you had to do it that way, and nobody else can live, but we've got to find a solution for these people, and apparently you included, that got upside down in their housing values a few years back and bought a house at the peak of the.
Well, we didn't buy our house at the peak, but it just the housing values here went down so much that we
had a lot of equity, and then it was gone, and then some.
And we're just a little bit upside down at the moment. I mean, we're not bad.
We're almost even.
But this is still one of those things. It's going to take a while to recover it, and if they're building new houses, it may take us a while longer.
So this is a question that you're hearing around water coolers and that sort of thing at work, and why I've actually posted about the drought on my Facebook page, because we talk a lot about water, where people have said, I'll start saving water when they stop building houses, and the experts are saying yes, California does have enough water to continue growing its population, but only if there are major shifts in the way residents use water and how neighborhoods are designed. Stretching the remaining water supply requires dramatic cuts in its irrigation, its use of recycled water to flush toilets and irrigate yards, and more compact developments on smaller lots. We use more water per capita in California than a lot of other places with similar climates, such as Australia, says Ellen Hannock, water policy expert with the Public Policy Institute of California. And that's a nonpartisan think tank in San Francisco. Part of smart water management is reducing that per capita use so you can stretch available supplies to support development. Some of those reductions are underway, but water officials say we have a long way to go. In December, Riverside County reached an annual pace of 9,800 building permits for single-family homes, the highest number since 2009. Water districts continue to issue will-serve letters for large developments after ensuring an adequate supply for the new homes. I think that we need to look at maybe what Israel's doing. Australia is another great place. Maybe some places in around the Mediterranean, and how they're dealing with water.
Well, there's an interesting chart on this article that shows that as the population has gone up, that while water usage has gone up, it hasn't gone up nearly as fast. And it's partly because of what you said, that they've come up with ways of reducing and managing water usage. So, for instance, between 1990 and 2010, we added an additional 7.3 million people to the state of California, but water usage actually is relatively flat. In fact, we're actually just a little bit below where we were in 1990, according to this chart. And so, that's good news, right? I mean, we can continue to grow, but not necessarily blow out the water usage.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is, golf courses are using recycled water, especially in the desert, and the ones that aren't need to do that. So they're using this non-potable water, and it doesn't need to be potable. I mean, right, or potable.
Oh, I've heard the statistic that 70% of water used in California is for lawns and making those green spaces and oases in the middle of the desert. And I remember, I'm old enough to remember, I'm a little bit older than you guys, believe it or not. Back in the first Brown administration, we had some water problems and issues then too.
So it's his fault.
It's not completely his fault, but I do remember the saying, and it's kind of, well, I'll say it anyway. If it's brown, flush it down. And that was all during that tail end of his last administration, because we were trying to conserve water. People were putting bricks in their toilets and special water savers and all that stuff. That was all during the Governor Brown administration. It could be similar here. I have to answer the phone.
Yes, you do have to answer the phone.
So, it's interesting. I've actually been following a couple different threads online where people are talking about this. Mm-hmm. And it's some of the stuff that Mark just said is in that thread, but also that some of the threads have taken kind of a racist tone. And so you mentioned not building houses. There are some folks who said, well, the problem is, of course, that illegal immigrants who've come in. And so, this is an issue.
Well, we have our guest on the line.
We do.
I am so excited to welcome to the show Chris Fussell. He is the co-author of Team of Teams: New Rules of Engagement for a Complex World, and this is co-written by General Stanley McChrystal, Tantrum Collins, and David Silverman. Chris Fussell, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
So tell us about your book, Rules of Engagement for a Complex World, because things really have changed.
Yeah, they certainly have, right. So the book is our effort to contribute to the conversation around what was learned on the battlefield, our lessons specific to the Special Operations community. Myself, Dave Silverman, both served in the SEAL teams, and then General Stan McChrystal obviously was the commander of the Joint Special Operations community that we served under overseas. And we went through this post 9/11. We had to go through this radical sort of change in how we led the organization, how the organization communicated and shared information, how people were able to make decisions, really fundamental organizational shifts. And the reason we had to do that was we were facing a whole new type of problem. Al-Qaeda and these terrorist groups that exist today, they are able to operate in an extremely rapid manner, much faster than any terrorist organization could operate, going back 10 or 15 years, because we're in the information age, and so everyone can pick up their smartphone and connect on a global scale in real time. That's a radical new variable to introduce to a group like Al-Qaeda or ISIS or whoever the group of the day might be. And so we had to shift our way of thinking and our way of operating as an organization to match the complexity of that problem.
So and I'm not an expert in warfare, but it seems that, in the old days, you're fighting an army. I mean, not I say old days, back into the 1990s, you're fighting an army, and now you're fighting kind of a ragtag band of people that they may not all be aligned with one another. So how does that change warfare?
Yeah, that's right. And that's where it maps very close to industry as well, as we're working on the with corporations now, where if you go back, to the 20th century, the whole game there was, and this is as true in business as it was in the military, was to create a highly efficient bureaucratic model, scale it up, and eventually you'll overtake the competition. And you can look at World War II on the military side as a great example of this. You have to build a huge army, bring it to Europe. You're looking for a really big thing called the German army. It's not very hard to identify. The problem is, do I have the efficiency in my supply system and my ability to train and deploy soldiers, et cetera, to be able to eventually get ahead of this other massive threat? Well, we refined that model inside the military for years and years and years, especially inside the Special Operations community. We took that into the fight against a distributed network, and we found that a network just will organically find the seams inside the bureaucracy and start to outmaneuver and outpace it. Not because they're any better, and they don't have great systems, they don't have a great strategy. They're just an organic, fluid thing, and so you have to adapt that. And we're seeing the same thing in business. Over the 20th century was about building these highly efficient, bureaucratic, industrial systems, and now the interconnectedness, the complexity of the external environment is overtaking the leadership systems inside these big companies, and so that's what we're doing now, is helping them go through the same transition.
So if I understood sort of your introduction about the development of these new communication tools and things, is that a big aspect or big focus of how do you deal with these kinds of groups?
It is, yeah. For us, that was a critical part of our evolution inside of the Special Operations community was, and it's this idea that, it used to be you needed a little bit of data and then make some really big moves. Now we're overwhelmed by information. The screen has sort of gone black with individual data points. So that's why everyone talks about information overload, and, there's just, I'm flooded in email. You see this manifest everywhere. So how, for us, the same was true. As a mid-grade sort of officer on the battlefield in a place like Iraq, I was looking at my sector and seeing thousands of new variables every day. And if I went through the old traditional model and just sort of pushed it all up in reports and whatnot, and then expected someone at the senior level to make some strategic decisions and push it back down, which is what we were trained to do, you were way behind the pace of the distributed network you were facing. And so we established these broad communication forums where we'd pull in literally thousands of people around the globe on a daily cycle. Every 24 hours, we would resync ourselves on a global scale for about 90 minutes, and these broad video teleconferences. And right at the middle of that was General McChrystal and his senior leadership team, not in a top-down sort of report-up-to-me sort of fashion, but the center node in a network that was able to talk through each other, and we did. That's how we became this team of teams. So I could talk on one side of the world in real time. People could understand how what I was seeing on my corner of the problem was affecting what they should be doing right now. And then we were able to put in the decentralization of decision rights and authorities so that people could move as quickly as the problem we were facing.
Now, how do you define that team of teams strategy? So I see that, I work in the nonprofit sector in addition to being on the radio, and we talk a lot about collective impact, and you have all these people from different sectors coming together to solve a problem. Far less, it's very much low stakes compared to what you're dealing with, but, how do you define, how does that come together?
Yeah, no, and I think nonprofit's a great example of that. So I sit on the board of directors for a Navy SEAL Foundation that supports families of guys we've lost overseas.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's a very cluttered space, and so how do you connect all these different interest groups? That's sort of the ultimate challenge that we're facing now. And one of our problems inside the community was, and the frustration was, we have these incredible small teams. They're highly effective. So why are we still losing? And the problem was there's these massive gaps between the small teams. So we have to put in place a network to connect them all. So from nonprofit to education to municipalities to obviously big business, everyone is wrestling with some version of this new reality.
So you urge leaders to listen with an open mind to their subordinates and acknowledge whenever someone more junior has a better idea, which is pretty revolutionary in the military. That doesn't undermine a leader's authority?
Well, it's a great point, and the lesson we learned was and this is why a lot of what we do now with organizations is focus not just on the sort of the systems and processes that drive your business, but also what are the leader behaviors that you're manifesting at a senior level and you're trying to develop in others. And what we found was overseas in these fights, the problem was changing so fast that if you expected a junior member of the team who was closest to the problem and seeing it and really understood what was happening on the ground, if you expected that individual to report up in the very sort of formal fashion that we were all sort of raised in the military to embody, that you're really not getting a ground truth. And so leaders need to create an environment where those folks that are closest to these really complex problems can be vulnerable and voice their concerns and what they don't understand. And for us, we were doing that on the scale of thousands. I mean, I was, as a junior or mid-level person inside that organization, I was able to get on these large, global meetings and speak directly to the entire organization and say, this is what we're wrestling with. We don't really understand why this is happening. Here's what we think. We're going to try this. If anyone has input, let me know. And the sub networks in the organization would then feed off that and say, oh, okay, now I really understand what you're wrestling with. Here's what we've done. Here's what works. But that's up to leaders, and it's true in the military, and it's very true in business. Senior leaders have to create the environment where it's okay to speak with that level of honesty to the entire organization.
So obviously you're working in a military situation, and you've talked about the private sector as well. I'm wondering if you're able to draw experience from other areas of the world. Like, for instance, we had the bombing at the Boston Marathon. And is there things that you were able to study from what they did that were able to help inform what you guys did when you wrote this book?
Yeah, that's right. We did try to pull in, different case studies, so it's not just a military conversation, because this isn't just a military problem. This is the new reality that everyone's facing. Is how do we affect organizational change inside such a complex environment? So we used the Boston bombing as an example of a highly effective small team. The surgeons that were and the entire medical staffs that responded to that incident set the standard in how a well-trained small team can react to an unpredictable situation in their space.
Because
and so the effectiveness of those teams that day on the ground in Boston was incredible.
It was phenomenal. There were hundreds of people that were injured, but there were very few deaths. How were they able to do that? What what were the key elements that allowed them to do that?
So what they were able to do at the individual scale was they had the best teams, and the phenomenal fact is that no one was lost once they were at a hospital, which tells you that just across the board these medical teams responded with incredible effect. What the most effective teams had done had in preparation for some sort of situation like this, had created these cross-functional relationships so that they knew if the worst things happen, all these different pockets from the organization have to come together and react in new ways, and I'm going to have surgical teams that are willing to try radical new approaches sort of on the fly, which is a very sort of special operations mentality, right? And they were able to do that to great effect, obviously. And we used that as a case study of here's a way that other highly effective small teams work. The challenge is how do you scale this? How do you create an enterprise level sense of really small team effectiveness? And the word we use now inside of our organization is sense of shared consciousness. How do I scale just the inherent understanding that exists at a small team onto an enterprise level that could be thousands of people distributed around the globe?
Now, that's an example of how people really worked well together. There's an example of how they didn't. That's General Motors, and they've recently had their ignition switch scandal. And what can managers learn from that?
Yeah, that's right. And when you sort of deconstruct what happened with the General Motors problem, there's not a lot of evil people in the world. Certainly not there. It's an example of how bureaucracies can just slow down information flow to the point where you can't solve for problems quick enough. And when you deconstruct it, just like we found in the military, just like we found post 9/11, just like we find in any of these big sort of organizational problems, all the information was there. And when you sort of after action the problem, you say, well, Bob knew this and Karen knew this, and we just didn't have them talking well enough at the right time to be able to get ahead of this issue. It holds true in General Motors, certainly held true in a lot of other global problems that we've wrestled with. And so that was the issue we were facing. And some of the frank conversations early on when we started to go through this was, we know what we need to know. The problem is we're not connected as a broad team of teams to be able to share this information around the globe. So that's what we really focused on, was being able to get ahead of the reality that we're not going to be behind the power curve again.
Now, how do you avoid analysis paralysis? I mean, where you're just checking in with everybody so much that efficiency completely goes by the wayside. How do you keep that in balance?
Yeah, that's right, and that can obviously can present itself as a big problem. So the way we solve for that, and what we do now with organizations is, you have to accept the fact that the world's different, right? So we have to get people sharing the right data on a speed that's faster than whatever problem they're trying to solve for. For us, the problem shifted every 24 hours, and so that's why we did this sort of 24-hour cadence for years and years on end. That's a bit of an extreme model for a lot of industry, but you have to understand the pace of your environment. And then by inviting a really broad scope of folks and having very transparent conversations, once you were in that network, I was able to see it from a junior level all the way up to sort of the strategic level. At the junior level, you understood, I'm sitting in this pocket inside of Iraq, and I'm surrounded by chaos, and there's 1,000 new variables every day. It's a constant state of change. So instead of flooding the system with just sending every piece of information up, I was able to be a human filter and say, based on the conversations that I'm being invited to between General McChrystal and all these other very senior leaders, I understand of the 1,000 things I'm looking at, here are the 3 or 4 that really matter to my friendly network. So I'll feed those into the system. When it's my turn to talk or whatever information I'm sending up, I'm going to scale it down to what really is critical right now. And I can only be that filter if I'm invited to and a participatory member at the very senior level conversations, which is a big shift for a lot of the businesses out there.
So I was noticing some of the comments about the book from other people, and it strikes me that a lot of the people that are talking about your book are CEOs and corporate types. And it's interesting because when you look at the title of the book and you look at obviously General Stanley McChrystal, you think this is going to be like a book that's just about military issues and so forth. But and it's very clear from our interview that this is really a leadership book. I mean, this is not just something that's in the domain of the military. This is something that can carry over to corporates, to nonprofits. I'm a public school teacher. As I'm listening to you talk, I'm thinking about things we can do within our school in terms of organizational leadership. So can you talk about how does this impact outside of the military in a way that so that people can connect to this?
Yeah, that's right. And education obviously is a right in the middle of this, from sort of city level education to university level. Everyone's going through this sort of radical change in how children learn, how institutions need to be connected, etc. So yeah, that's we see it in every space. The real translation is how do you figure out the space you're in and start to solve for it. And for us, when we set out to write Team of Teams, we wanted to make sure, hey, this is not just another sort of military story. We're only using the military experiences as a framework to say, look, here's how we experienced this change. And the change is the important theme, because the change is this: we're in the 21st century now. It's the information age. And so everyone's connected to everyone else all the time if they want to be. And so the only question is, when is your space, when is your business, whatever you're in, how are you experiencing this change you're going through?
So let me give you an example, because I think I'm going to take this ideas that you've been talking about and go talk to my school principal today, because we've seen an issue at my school, but I think in a lot of schools in the area with marijuana. And I teach at a middle school, and California has this, medical marijuana and these new vape pens. And we're seeing this, all kinds of new ways that marijuana is getting on our campus. They're bringing the traditional, old-style weed. They're bringing pot brownies. They're bringing vape pens with marijuana oil. And so here's this problem that's sort of getting into our school system and messing with kids. And
and we only have about a minute left.
But I'm fascinated by the strategies you're using here, and I think that different pieces of people have pieces of this puzzle. And we're not all talking together about what we need to do to solve it. I mean, it's like on a teacher by teacher, kid by kid basis right now, and we need a systemic solution.
Yeah, it's an interesting example. Certainly one I hadn't heard before, but it makes sense, right? There's everyone sees a piece of this, and so the first part that we ask leaders to do in the companies that we work with is, you have to define the problem you're trying to solve for. You have to have an awareness that this shift is taking place, and we'll work with them on that. And then you have to translate that out to your people, which is what we went through. And then, so in this example, someone has to come together and say, look, this is a real problem.
Yep.
We have to start talking about it so we can get ahead of it.
Well, we are completely out of time. What a treat it has been to have you on the show today. Thank you so much for joining us. We've been talking with Chris Fussell about his incredibly good management book, Team of Teams, New Rules of Engagement for a Complex World. This is in the military, out of the military, for-profit, non-profit. What a treat. Everybody needs to read this book. Chris, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys.
So we are at the end of our show. I'm Erin Brinker.
I'm Tobin Brinker.
We are on the brink here on KCAA AM 1050. Have a great Wednesday, everybody.
You're on board KCAA's Inland Talk Express. KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 AM, the station that leaves no listener behind.
I'm Dirk Van.
I was just kind of praying, like, please make it stop, please make it stop.
6 people dead, 150 hospitalized after an Amtrak train en route from Washington to New York jumped the tracks last night in North Philadelphia. Survivors say people, bags, and seats were flying everywhere. Correspondent Sarah Seidner.
We now know that 6 people have died. There are several others who are in critical condition. And of course, you've got dozens of people who had broken bones, contusions.
What happened? Correspondent Steve Kastenbaum telling us investigators are just getting started.
The first thing investigators will do is identify the point where the first wheel left the track, and then they'll walk it back from there to try to paint a picture of what happened.
Investigators do say there's no indication this was an act of terrorism. Among the passengers who are unaccounted for, Rachel Jacobs, CEO of an education technology company, Amtrak suspending service between New York and Philadelphia. I'm Dirk Van.
Advance Auto Parts knows what makes a car guy a car guy. It's the commitment to maintain an engine through the 300,000-mile mark. It's burning the midnight oil to finish a job most guys would rather hand off. It's loyalty. And it's why there's speed perks from Advance Auto Parts. Spend $100 and get $20 off your next qualified purchase. No cards, no points, no nonsense. Advance Auto Parts, for guys who love getting under the hood.
See store to sign up or visit speedperks.com for details.
This is Shaquille O'Neal.
And the Shaquettes.
Reminding you that anytime is a good time.
Good time.
For the cooling, drying, fresh scent of Gold Bond powder spray. Like after the gym.
Or a crowded elevator ride.
Or golf.
Or working with farm animals.
Or a hard day's work.
Like sportscasting.
You said it, ladies. Stay cool with Gold Bond powder spray.
Stay cool with Gold Bond.
7:02. Good morning. Mark Westwood with you. Taking a look at Inland Empire weather. Well, nice today, but it's going to be a little cloudy and a little cooler. It's going to continue to get cooler, continue to get more cloudy, and then on Thursday we're going to have some rain. But highs today, 73, dropping into the 60s tonight. Going to be a chance of showers by Friday. Currently, 58 degrees at KCAA, 10:50 a.m. Taking a look at Inland Empire weather out in Moreno Valley. Stop-and-go traffic. I-215 northbound between Cactus Avenue and University Avenue. I-15 northbound between Temescal Canyon Road and Cajalco Road out in Corona. Otherwise, it's just stop and go in Chino and Corona and the usual places on the 60 between Ramona Avenue and the 57. In Corona, 91 between McKinley Street and Green River Road. No accidents to report to you. Good news on that. That's the look at our weather and traffic. This weather and traffic report brought to you by Star L Limousine. They extend their best wishes to our 2015 graduates. Celebrate with style, graduates. Leave drug and alcohol out. That's courtesy of Carla and Robert Rodriguez at Star L Limousine, the only place to be if you're looking for quality and excellence. Family owned and operated for 13 years. The people who take time to care about your complete and total satisfaction. Total satisfaction. A name that stands above all others. A name smart folks have rushed to and trusted here for years. Star L Limousine. You'll always be safe with us. So stop by or call 909-796-8079. That's 909-796-8079. Or visit their website at star-allimousines.com. That's stars-all, 2 L's, limousine.com. That's a look at weather and traffic from the only station that leaves no listener behind, KCAA.
10:50 a.m. Don't forget that number. And for you young people who got here by accidentally fat-fingering your FM band selector, we're an AM radio station. And AM refers to more than just the time of day.
Like to spend a few days in another world? Then write this down. Golden Bear Cottages, Big Bear Lake. Now, listen, this is not some corporate-owned operation. It's family-owned and operated by some real nice people.